This is Trade Till You Lose training video, and this is analyzing 4-hour daily, contradicting arrows and setups. Now, I have had personally 1 or 2 questions by subscribers saying that it's not that prevalent in the guide on how to distinguish in certain situations what chart you should be trading from. Now, apart from the rules in the reference guide, sometimes this can throw a spanner in the works when something is saying sell on the 4-hour or the daily and vice versa on the other chart. Now, I just want to run through examples like that and what you must listen to. But what it does specify in the guide, the daily chart is king. You can trade from the daily chart. Okay, now listen to this. You can trade from the daily chart even if the 4-hour chart is saying something else, but it's not too contradicting. Okay, so if we for instance now on the euro dollar chart, we saw a sort of a nice few red candles building. We had a red on a red. We were below all the moving averages, and it was looking very, very strong to the downside. And we thought, right, okay, it's time to get in. Setups activated. But on the 4-hour, they were suddenly they were previous to that 1 or 2 blue candles and the blue arrow. Very rare, because when you think about it on a daily chart, if it's just red, how can you get the blue candles on the 4-hour? Because the 4-hour is basically 6 candles, and then that is a daily chart. That's a daily time frame. So this daily chart is just basically 6 4-hour candles. So if you're seeing a sea of red, essentially, and each candle is solidly red, or the day of that last candle is solid red, then you're not really going to get a sea of blue or blue arrows form on the 4-hour. It will usually complement it anyway. They should go hand in hand, because it's not as if we're trading the 5-minute chart. We're looking at the, a couple of 5-minute periods where basically the market could come back or trade sideways. Okay, and it could consolidate. So here the market might indeed be okay. Oh, actually, we might have seen a bottom here temporarily, but on a 5-minute chart, that doesn't mean anything, because for maybe an hour or so, the market might have rallied from its lows. As you can see here, it actually did. It made a low here on the tail, yeah, as you can see, and then it actually rallied back up about 20-30 pips, and this candle closed there. Okay, so it closed there, made a low and rallied back up. So for that 20-30 pips, a blue arrow might have formed on the 5-minute chart. Okay, and that's where scalpers come in to try and nick 20 pips or so. But overall, it's still very weak. The longer term picture is still very weak. So generally, they will complement each other, or to some degree, give one another a helping hand. So on this case, if you're looking at a setup here, euro dollar, now by the time you watch this, this will have been hung, drawn and quartered. It will be finished. The setup will no longer be valid. It will only be current as of Sunday, 20th of January, 21st of January. After that, it's no longer valid. Now, here, as you can see, we've got a red previous here, red previous, strong red previous, selling down through moving averages, down through the moving averages, and we've got a red on a red. We've got a red arrow on red candle. So it's looking strong. That is tradable on that day. And then if you were late to the game, maybe the day after or the day after that, you wanted to trade, you've only got 3 candles to get in, by the way, providing it's still a red day. It's a red candle on the day you're trading. If you were coming to look at the 4-hour, you actually wouldn't technically need to look at the 4-hour, but if you wanted to check it out and it showed you, okay, well, you know what, even on the 4-hour, in the last 4 to 6 hours, this has also produced a red arrow and a red candle. Yes, the last candle was blue, but it's a small blue. Okay, it tipped up. We know it tipped up temporarily on the daily, because the daily showed us the last few hours of trade, the market actually spiked higher. Not spiked higher, but it came off its low, very low point there, and actually made a low there and came up to close right at the bottom of that body there. So a little bit higher. That might be worth 20-30 pips. In fact, let's get the crosshair and check it out. That is pretty much the bottom of that was 113.50, and the top end is 113.62. So barely 12 pips. But that 12 pips was enough on the 4 hour to show us just a very small blue candle. Okay, it actually rallied up a little bit more than 12 pips. Okay, but it actually then came back off again and just made a very, very small blue candle. But that's nothing. Overall, it showed a solid red arrow, solid red candle down. The majority of the thrust, the majority of the momentum is lower, isn't it? So that's an example of these charts complementing each other. But the daddy one rules, and the daddy one is the daily. D for dad, that is the one that's in charge. Okay, now let's have a look at pound dollar. Now you see here on the daily, we've got a blue in play. All right, we're up, we're trending higher. Blues are actually in play. The blue arrow, the most recent blue arrow, or the most recent arrow, I should say, is blue. And that was, as per the setup, an active buy signal. We've come up through the moving averages, built our way up, blue previous, blue arrow, nice blue candle. Above also as well, the marker trend resistance. Look at that right there. So did we close above it? Yes, we did on that day, on Thursday, but on Friday we headed back lower, didn't we? So let's just see the 4 hour and see how this can be construed. If you go onto the 4 hour, it's showing weakness, isn't it? It's showing quite a bit of weakness because on that day, on Friday, most of the day was selling. So obviously we're going to get several red candles because it takes 6 candles to make up the day. But not any one of those candles, only one, which was here, right up there. Let me just get that. There, only this one was blue, in fact. That one there. Very, very, very small blue, and that was at the beginning of the session. The rest of the session, market just tumbled and came off, not tumble, but it came off 120 or so pips. So it's looking weak there. But if you were indeed late to the game on the daily, you missed getting in on Thursday on this candle here, you're not going to get in and buy anyway on a red day because it's red. There's no buying on a red. So Friday you wouldn't have traded anyway, okay? Because by default, on a red, you don't buy. So it's irrelevant what the 4 hour was doing here, okay? You're only looking for confirmation if that was also going to be blue or just sideways here. But because it's actually given 2 red arrows and one blue is on a red candle, so that's been dissolved because there's been a new red arrow in play, you're not getting in anyway. So all you can do is wait until the Monday, which is the 21st. And on the Monday, you'll soon see what happens here. Now on the Monday, this could then spike back up, turn into another blue candle, get back above the high of that last blue candle, and then you're able then to get back in. Because it's a blue candle, you've got 3 days to get in after the arrow candle. Monday will be the second day, and then you've got another day after that if needed. But if we have a solid day on Monday, a higher 4 hour will by default be blue. We'll at least have some blue candles, and we may have a blue arrow. And you never know, you may have a blue arrow on the daily. But if we get more selling on the daily chart and it sells off again, well, you're not going to buy anyway because the daily chart will have another red candle. So you won't be able to get in regardless of what the 4 hour is telling you. So sometimes it doesn't allow you to actually trade and get in when momentum is wrong. It actually holds off if you apply the rules and apply everything mainly to the daily chart. But the 4 hour sometimes can just be a good backup. But the one thing we don't do is trade from the 4 hour chart and ignore the daily chart. That's what we don't do. Now, an example here on Euro Yen. Euro Yen daily, we've just referenced this in another example on the weekly update. We're in here still from this arrow. We've meandered across here and now we're up. So if you come in to look at this chart, you're only really looking here is any new arrows formed. Because anything from over here, you've missed out on. If you're still in the trade from getting in here, that's absolutely fine. You're holding your stop losses and you're waiting for more of a rage higher, basically. You want the market to go higher and follow it with your stop losses. But if you're not involved in the market at the moment and you're looking possibly to buy or just get in or sell, then you're going to look here and see there's no arrow. There's no confirmation to get in, is there? So look to the 4 hour just to see what the deal is, basically. You're not going to get in and trade here, and that doesn't really tell us a lot either. The 4 hour tells us, okay, we've got a red on a blue, which is immediately from this blue arrow dissolved. So that's deactivated. The red is no longer in play. We've got a blue arrow, blue candle previous, which is good. But the blue arrow is formed on a red candle, which we can't trade on because we never buy on a red candle.
So we go to the next 4 hour candle, and that next candle was a solid blue.
So it was that blue candle that was tradable. That was tradable. Since then, it's not really done much. It sold off a little bit, about 30 pips, 40 pips lower, and now it's come back sort of to where you would have entered the position, around about this level here. So at the moment, there is a blue in play on the 4 hour. Okay, there is a blue in play, and you would have possibly been able to get in on that blue, because if you were looking to get in here late sort of lunchtime on the Friday to buy on this candle, because you had this blue arrow with a blue previous, you couldn't trade on a red candle, so you would have to wait until the next candle forms 4 hours later. But the daily chart would not have been giving you anything untoward. The daily chart would have not been giving you a sell signal. Yes, it might not have had a blue arrow. There was no blue arrow here on this day, which was Friday, but it was a nice blue candle. So it's only going up. So you could have, in that instance, traded off the 4 hour because the daily chart was not red. It had not just sold down below a moving average. It was no red arrow in play. Now, if there'd been a red arrow in play and just formed on that candle there, there'd have been complete no-go. Doesn't matter what's going on in the 4 hour chart. Does not matter. You pay attention to the daily. But the daily here kind of complements it nice, to be fair. Got a nice blue candle. So if you wanted to go long and buy on this 4 hour basis and kept abreast here from that blue arrow, blue previous, no trade in that 4 hour period, wait till the next 4 hour period, which was that candle, and then buy it. Okay? Because there was nothing contradictory on the daily chart. Quick look at euro pound. Euro pound, quite clear on the 4 hour. It's looking strong, isn't it? Blue arrow in play. We've just bounced off a DeMarca support, but a DeMarca support pretty much as labeled this as the recent lows. So it's done that for a reason. It's a nice significant area, support area. We're rallying up here. And look, we're just above this DeMarca resistance. So it looks to be breaking out on the 4 hour. If we look at the daily, well, the daily is also a blue. It's also a blue. It's very weak because the last few days was major selling, and we've got a big blue candle here. Personally, I would wait for more blues and possibly another blue arrow before I got in, purely because the daily is telling me, and the daily is what I pay more attention to, that look, we've just seen this not death-defying, but for euro pound it's a big move. Sell off down here, 6 big down days, and then we've got a turnaround here with a blue candle. It's encouraging, but I want more confirmation. I want the market to have another day where it closes above this DeMarca support line, now turned resistance. So I want more arrows. I'd like a blue arrow form on the daily. So that wouldn't be enough to tempt me in on euro pound. Okay, but it's looking good on the upside. It's one to tick off and say, right, we'll come back to. Now, dollar yen, this is the daily. It looks good. You'd actually be in the position still if you got in here, blue on a blue candle, blue previous from here, and blue previous to that, so it's fine to trade. You're below the moving averages, but okay, that makes it not, you know, a 95% strong trade. It's more like an 80% strong trade, 75%, but still a strong signal. It's a signal setup. And then the market has just came back off slightly and now looking to break out, just like Euro Pound really. On the 4 hour, it's looking to break up above resistance, and it's certainly looking like it could do that. So let's look at the 4 hour. The 4 hour has also signaled a blue arrow, which looks strong. It's got a blue candle previous, formed on a red candle, so there's no buying on that 4 hour period because it was mainly red, mainly selling. So your chance to get in was that candle after, the last but one candle of the day. Okay, so it would have been that candle. You wouldn't have bought on the last 4 hour period because that was red, it was actually selling off. So you wouldn't be buying on that basis. But just to check and refer to your daily, there was nothing contradictory on the daily, only complementary, because the market was broke out above this resistance area, resistance to marker, resistance to marker actually, and it's looking like a nice strong blue candle for the day, isn't it? A nice full body, 3/4, 4/5 full. So that would have been able to trade off the 4 hour in that respect. There, you couldn't have been shot for doing that trade. But yeah, for me personally, I'm looking at this and I would want to see more, another candle forming up here, because this has got the potential to go up a lot more, but you want to see another candle above this resistance. You don't want to see it then come back off and make another low. So yeah, a nice blue arrow would be nice to see, maybe tomorrow, this day after that. But when you come to looking at this training video, this will have been this would have come and gone. Okay, your chance to get in on this particular examples will have completely gone. Okay, I'm just telling you how to refer from the 4 hour and daily charts. Okay, because within 3 days after any setup, within 3 days after any arrow, or 3 candles basically, 3 4 hour periods or 3 daily candles, that's your opportunity's gone. So if I say it's 3 days you've got, I'm referring to a daily chart. If I say you've got 3 candles on the 4 hour chart, you've pretty much got about 12 hours, which is 3 4 hour periods. Okay, now last but not least, pound yen on a daily. Now it's looking strong. I know at least one person got in on this here. Blue arrow on a blue candle. The tradable candle was this region here, this price region, because it was followed on to be a blue. We couldn't get in on this blue because guess what? The previous candle to the arrow candle was a red one. So there's no buying. That's a red. Wait till the next one. And this was your tradable one here. Lovely. And then since then, the nice is broken up. So there's good momentum on the daily. So there's no arrow though. So you would check your 4 hour. If you wanted to get in on pound yen, you would want to see some confirmation on the 4 hour. And do we get that? No. So there's no chance to enter long on the pound yen. If anything, it's looking the other way on the 4 hour. We've actually seen a red arrow on a red candle. Okay, so pretty much the last 3/4 of the day on Friday was quite weak. We've got 2 red arrows on 2 red candles, a blue arrow formed, but now that's null and void purely because it was formed on a red candle and there's now a red arrow has formed since. So now that takes precedence. Okay, so we've got that there. So it's a red arrow formed on the 4 hour. So we'd want to wait and see until Monday to see if then a blue candle forms with maybe a blue arrow, or the daily gives us something else. The daily gives us, you know, a new fresh blue candle to get back above another moving average and maybe form potentially another blue arrow. Okay, does it give us that? But you would want to see. So you would definitely not trade and think, oh, do you know what? Oh, I missed out here. I missed out on this arrow. I want to get in. Now, last but not least, if there was a blue arrow that formed here, okay, if this had formed, if there was a blue arrow had formed, and this was a very small blue candle, very small, it had spiked up, come back off a little bit, but still at the end of the day formed a small blue candle, this would have been tradable on Friday. You could have got in, no matter if you saw a few red candles on the 4 hour, because you might have seen the odd few red ones if indeed the market traded higher then came back off in the last few hours of the trading day, okay, which would give you a few red candles on the 4 hour. So you would, in fact, could have afforded to have ignored these few reds here and just gone with the daily. But the daily, it didn't give us that, did it? It finished red. There was no new blue arrow. So by default, it's not tradable. And you've long missed your chance to get in with this setup at this low level. Only the people that got in on this area here on that day, which was, when I look back, that particular day was the 7th of January, Monday, which was fantastic. I was still away just visiting parents on that day, and I actually did miss that. So I was very gutted about that. But there's be plenty more on pound yen and other pairs to catch big moves. It's already up, this pair, 500-600 pips from these levels. Sort of from this level here, 137 up towards 141, 140, 160. You know, you're talking over 400 pips so far. Easy in the bag. So that's solid gain. Just a couple of dollars a pip on that. You're already up, you know, 1,000, 1,400 bucks, 1,500 bucks before, you know, the year's even kicked in, and that's just on one pair. So great start off to the year for some of you that I know actually got in on that. So well done. At least one person I know. I think 2 others did as well. I'm not sure. But anyway, that's that for that, guys. Any other questions on these? Drop me a line at matt@ttylpro.co.uk. I look forward to speaking to you very soon, and God bless.